the track, boys.
What's good, John Stinger, and it's time to prepare your CPU because today we are going over how to make an upbeat, groovy Brakence type beat in the style of his newest song, Venus Flytrap. So let's not do any more intro hoopla and get right into it. Are you ready for this? I've been practicing my editing. Alrighty, so just as a heads up, this tutorial is going to be pretty long. I'm thinking somewhere around like the 15-minute range because there is so much that I need to go over. So the first thing I'm going to delve into is this guitar. Now this guitar is from my guy Beats. He's a very, very talented guitar maker. He sends out weekly loop packs. So if you're in need of guitar loops, feel free to hit him up and join his weekly loop list. You better come money ready though. Alright, so here's the guitar that I will be using throughout the first portion of the track. For the effects on that bad boy, we have some reverb, fruity delay 2 on the widen preset, a parametric EQ to cut out some unwanted frequencies, and fracture on the Crystal Factory preset. With fracture all the way up, this is what it sounds like. It basically just gives like little bloops and bleeps, but I turned it down to about like 10%. Similar to my last Brakence tutorial, I'm going to be breaking this down 8 bars by 8 bars by 8 bars. That just makes it a whole lot easier because there's nothing really consistent throughout this whole beat. So let's go into the intro. Brakence loves to use like spoken word voxes in his beats, and I have a bunch of them in this beat, and I found them all from Splice. So if you have Splice, just go in there and search up spoken word, and it'll just have a bunch of like spoken word phrases that you can pull and throw into your beats. So here's what I'm playing at the intro.
Sometimes it's hard to be human.
Also for the intro, I have this reverse guitar sound. All I did to get that effect is I took a reverb, threw the wet all the way up and the decay up a bit. Then I went into Edison and recorded it to be on input, and then I just quickly played the first portion of the guitar. After I had that, I just took it, reversed it, and then took out the portion where the guitar hits and dragged it in. I'm sure there's a much easier way to do that, but that's just the way that I do it. From there, we just go into the guitar playing on its own, as well as a riser to lead up into the chorus. For the chorus, I threw in this live bass that I played, and this is what it sounds like. Now that's not actually a bass that I'm playing, I'm just playing an electric guitar, and I pitched it down by 12 semitones. And I'm a complete novice at guitar, as you can see with all the takes that were needed to get this. So even if you've only touched a guitar like 5 times in your life, I'm fairly certain you could pull this off. All you have to do is pull up some kind of piano plugin and find the bass notes of the melody you're trying to play with. So for this one, it's going from a D to an A. And all you do is play that out and try to find that same note on the guitar. It's super simple. My tip for recording is to take the BPM down so that way you're recording at a slower pace, and then just stretch it later so that it matches the BPM you're originally working with. Now that we've got that bass out of the way, we can move into the drums. First, I laid down this kick pattern. And this kick pattern goes in tandem with the same notes that are playing on the bass, aside from a few ones that I left out. Next, we've got this snare from Starboy Rob's stash kit. Their kit is absolutely insane. It has a bunch of sounds for any kind of digital, virtual, yeet type of beats, and it also has a designated K-pop section of the drum kit, which is where I got these claps from. So this is the pattern they're playing. It's a pretty basic pot pattern, but I offset a couple of the notes to make sure it wasn't too basic. Next, we've got this hi-hat, yet again, from Starboy Rob's stash kit. This hi-hat pattern is very similar to the one in Venus Flytrap because it takes breaks when the snare hits. Doing this gives your drums some bounce and a little bit more breathing room. Next, we've got this snare in tandem with the clap. I got this snare from my guy Wonder XO's drum kit. I believe it's only like $5, and it has a bunch of really unique and industrial hyperpop sounds. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely suggest hitting him up. Yet again, come money ready. Next, we've got this open hat from my Hive stash kit. And that's gonna be about it for the drums. For these type of upbeat pop Brakence type beats, you don't really want to get too complex with the drums because you want there to be a sense of danceability. So this is what the drums sound like. And at the end of the chorus, I just have this little drum fill to integrate some acoustic aspects. So with all of that put together, this is what the first part of the chorus sounds like. For this next portion of the chorus, I basically just copied over the first portion and made some tweaks here and there. Right here, I have it cut out right when the snare hits, and I have it playing this Vox.
All for you.
But I have it cut so it only plays the U part. And then I also have this glitch from my Mainframe glitch pack. It's yet to be released, but since you're watching this video, you can get it for free in the description. It has 100 custom glitch sounds. So, shameless advertisement aside, this is what it sounds like. And then everything else in the chorus is pretty much the same. So, this is what the second part of the chorus sounds like. Next, I have it lead into the verse, which all I do is cut out some of the guitars and I cut out the bass as well. Don't really need to go over much there. For the second part of the verse, I reintegrate those guitars, but I still keep out the bass. To transition into the third part of the verse, I use all of these as a riser. The first sound I use is this sound from my glitch pack. I just have that reversed. And then same here, this one's from my glitch pack and it's also reversed. And then I just use this pretty standard riser. So this is what the lead up into the next part of the verse sounds like. It's important to integrate some kind of glitchy aspects because if not, it's kind of just a basic pop beat. But with those glitches, it kind of gives it the flair it needs to be a Brakence type beat. Next part of the verse is pretty standard as well. I don't really need to go into it. So next I have it transition into the bridge where I take out the drums and then I just have this drum fill to transition into the chorus yet again. For this second chorus, yet again, I cut out right here when the snare hits and I have a different Vox playing. Everything else is pretty much still the same. So this is what the first part of the second chorus sounds like. And then the second part of the chorus, I just cut out the drums at the beginning to build a little bit of suspense. Now after that is where the real fun begins. I cut out the bass and the drums and use this whoosh to transition into a beat switch. I also use this reverb with a really high decay on the melody so that it doesn't just cut out immediately. For the beat switch, the first melody that I have playing is the Kid Said No patch from Playbox. This is a very unique VST. I don't use it too often because it's kind of restrictive, but when it comes to experimental Brakence type beats, it has a lot of sounds that definitely fit that style. Now for this switch, I kind of wanted it to go into a kind of Hypnagogia type of Brakence vibe. If you don't know, Hypnagogia is his first album on Spotify and it is such a banger. Like for me, it's Punk 2 and Hypnagogia right up against each other. So if you haven't listened to it and you like Brakence's music, I heavily suggest it. So this is what the melody sounds like. So the arpeggio that plays in the melody isn't exactly on beat, but that's very characteristic for most of his tracks on Hypnagogia. And then I also have yet another Vox playing on the intro of this beat switch.
I keep crying. Black tears.
If you have both headphones in, you'll notice that it's kind of panning left to right, and Brakence likes to do this a lot, not only with his vocals, but also aspects of the beat. So I would definitely keep in mind when mixing your tracks to pan things here and there, a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. And in the transition into the beat drop of the beat switch, I have this riser leading up to a cutout of the melody, which plays this Vox.
They're watching us now.
And the last aspect of this intro is this tremolo automation. For this effect, I'm using Mtremolo, which is a free tremolo plugin, and I'm just automating the rate. So this is what the intro of the beat switch sounds like. And then that transitions into the super experimental drum. So the first part that I laid out is this reverse snare. Get that? All I did was play this snare from my drum kit in conjunction with this glitch sound. After that, I rendered it using Edison and then just reversed it. For the kick, I used the official Wonder kick, which is yet again from Wonder XO's drum kit. And this is playing a very spaced out pattern. After that, I have this snare to give that reverse snare a little bit more transient. And then I have this 808 from my Terminus 808 kit. So this is what the drums sound like. Underneath that, I have this percussion loop from Cymatics, and without any effects, this is what it sounds like. Now, instead of that actually being a percussion loop, I wanted it to be like some background ambient glitches. So I threw on Portal, which is a pretty cool granular synthesis plugin, and I threw it on the Pocket Calculator preset. So with the effects on it, this is what it sounds like. As you may have noticed with the drums, I have it cut out, and when it cuts out, I have it playing this Vox.
Escape.
So this is what the first portion of the beat switch sounds like altogether. Now you may have noticed some pitch shifting in the melody, and I didn't do that on purpose. I was gonna throw some frequency shifting on it, but I think Kontakt is doing that on its own with its effects, so I'm not complaining, it did it for me. But if you hear that and I didn't explain it, that's why. For the next portion, I just integrate these live hats from SSD Sampler. For the effects on that, I have Fruity Reverb as well as Pancake, which is a panning automation VST. Basically what it's doing is it's panning the hi-hat left and right gradually. And then I also have on an instance of Crystallizer on the Emerald preset. That just gives it those like granular delays you heard. I also threw on a new melody yet again from Playbox by Kontakt. And I just have it copying the first melody. For the effects on that, I have an EQ taking out some of the low ends as well as Portal on the distorted voices preset. That gives it that like stutter effect as well as some bit crushing. And to transition into the next portion, I have yet again another Vox.
Are we dreaming?
And then those same risers that I used in the previous section of the beat. So this is what it sounds like all together. And finally, for the final portion of this beat, all I do is integrate yet again another melody from Kontakt. This being the Plank Length preset from Playbox. And it's just playing the same melody as the other two. For the effects, I have an EQ taking out some of the low mids and all the bass frequencies, as well as Phase Mistress, which is a great phaser plugin. And last but not least, I have Pancake automating it left and right with the mix at 100%. So this is what the final portion of the beat sounds like. After that, I just let all the sounds fade out and then it plays this one last Vox.
If I stay quiet, it'll be okay.
So that is going to pretty much cover how to make a Brakence type beat in the style of Venus Flytrap. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and learned something new today. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Other than that, that's going to be it. Peace.